Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host, from In Hindsight, Nathan Heitz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go!
There it is.
He hit gold. He hit gold.
What was that in the?
You hear that? You hear that?
That's rock solid gold, Mark.
So I can't actually hear you guys over my medals. You have to speak louder.
Yeah.
How many of those medals?
Baby. Hey?
You got? How many of those medals did you get there, Mark?
Just the one, only one. So,
Well, man, that's more than what I've gotten. Congratulations.
yeah. So I tried pretty hard in the pickleball competition up north in Queensland. So, g'day guys, welcome back to Steel Nation Australia, and also welcome back to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, episode 15. And you know what? It is actually quite heavy on my neck. I don't know how Kurt Angle did it for many years, running down the runway there. So. Got a gold medal in intermediate for pickleball. Hopefully I can do, some good stuff. I should have the camera down here, but oh well. But how are you doing? What's going on? What I missed, first of all, Daniel J, what did I miss the last 4 days? I didn't use my phone for 4 days, and you know what? It was pretty fucking good.
You know what you missed, and what we all missed is a Steelers loss. Nobody had to deal with that this past weekend. We all got a bye week from misery and
The Steelers
gloom.
almost lost against the bye week.
They
Really?
almost did. They almost did.
Yep.
If it wasn't for the refs.
Matt Canada's still out there calling plays and still getting them wrong, still getting picked off, is he?
Yeah, those things are still happening. But the Steelers made some big moves. They had a trade come in and a trade go out during the bye week, and I think that was probably the what ended up making the bye week a winner for us.
Well, that's right. I was pretty happy about the old Claypool trade, and I just made a video before coming on air here, and this is the standout top three player that you had. Chase Claypool, 2 receptions, 6 targets, 13 yards, 12 longers, 1 yards, 1 attempt, 4 yards rushing. Oh, no, we're going to miss him. Oh, shit. No, my bad. Sucks.
He also did have a pass interference called against the opposing team.
Man, he's the worst.
I think that was his biggest play.
One of the worst players I've ever seen in my life. How is all the Bears fans now defending him, saying, oh, he'll get better. It's not too bad. It's a small body of work. No, he's terrible, dude. He sucks. All right.
I mean, we got a pretty potentially high second-round pick for him.
Yep.
I'm happy for it.
Yeah, the more the Bears lose, then higher for us, right? So, and Justin Fields, I think he broke. What I saw a stat was he ran 180 yards. He broke Michael Vick's record, and they still couldn't win. Yeah. So, and this is what this is part of my video too, but I'll show it here as well. That's what he looked like. Come on, man, what are you doing? Like seriously, bro. I'm so happy he's gone, but
I'm surprised he wasn't on the grass.
Exactly. I'm doing one more video tomorrow about him, and then that's it. I'm never talking about him again. But Nathan, mate, how are you doing?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good today. Had work earlier today. Made some tacos for my girlfriend tonight. So having a pretty nice night. Ready to get back into things here. Heading into what is this? Week 10. Is this week 10?
Week 10, man. 9 games to go.
10. Chat, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for coming back. And if you guys missed last week's show, welcome back here to the one here today. So it's going to be good. Kind of go for an hour or so like we normally do and talk about whatever topics we're talking.
Big time. So we got J Devil Steelers fan, Kelsey as well, your partner George, Tessany, JT,
Yep.
Drunk Turkey Show, which I think they're famous now, aren't they? I'm pretty sure they're famous.
They're getting up there. They're getting there.
That's what you want to see, man. That's what you want to see.
Britsburg Owens, how you boys doing? We're doing fantastic. All right, let's talk about it. So today the theme is, we're still in the bye, so it's kind of like we've got about 11, 12 days to really think about stuff. But I wanted to really dive into and speaking of what's going to be the difference with TJ Watt coming back and Kazee. And Daniel J, we'll start with you first. Let's focus on TJ Watt. Like, what's the difference maker overall, him coming back? Because I'm pretty optimistic now the Steelers can win games. We now have the 20th, I think, easiest schedule where is the first 8 games we had the hardest schedule.
Yep.
And we've seen that with the Eagles and Buffalo Bills being Super Bowl contenders, right up there. The Jets are now 6-2. So Kenny had to face a lot of tough teams, but now we have the easiest or one of the mid schedule. What's going to happen with TJ Watt coming back?
Correct. Yeah, I think the Steelers have the 12th easiest, the 20th hardest schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, with TJ Watt, and I actually made a video about this. It'll be tomorrow. I guess everybody probably did with with the news that it looks like Tomlin is optimistic that he is going to be returning. I mean, what TJ Watt is, he elevates the play on the field and elevates the play around him. I mean, you look at what offenses have to do to scheme against him. It allows for one-on-one matchups, with Alex Highsmith, Larry Ogunjobi, Cam Hayward. And so the defensive line in whole ends up improving and getting more favorable matchups, which is going to allow the defense to control the front. And usually when you're in control of the front, you're in control of the game. And so what he also does is he helps the defensive backs in the secondary by allowing pressure with only utilizing sometimes maybe 3 or 4 pass rushers and allowing, for the remaining portion to drop back into coverage. It allows for disguises and for exotic coverages in the defense. And so in total, just having this one player back, as crazy as it sounds that it's only one player, he is a huge disruptor for the defense and a big playmaker. And there's a reason why he got the extension that he did and why he's been in contention for Defensive Player of the Year for the last few years now.
And what about yourself, Nathan? Are you keen to see Watt back in the lineup? I think for me, I think a lot of Steel fans, everything kind of went pear-shaped once he went down, right?
Yeah.
The first half of the season was like, oh my, how are we going to win games? And I think we won one game without him now in 11 tries. So you keen to have him back? And and the thing is there a big difference, right? Are we hoping for a big difference? I know we're talking defense and offense has to work out too, but is there a big difference for wins?
Oh, absolutely there is. TJ, I think really he's a testament to being the most valuable non-quarterback in the NFL. What he does on the field, but what he does too for against opposing offenses, man, really opens up a lot for other guys defensively. And the fact of him being out, now there's no excuse either for how bad the defense has been without him because of still the talent they have there that we expected probably more of. But with him being back, I think him coming back makes a lot more people excited about the game Sunday, kind of see how things might change a little bit defensively with him in there. But man, he's so important to any defense he would be on. And I think it's hard to say like really how the defense is going to revert back to him being there kind of right away, especially him coming off. We'll kind of see if they ease him in, if they kind of let him go full pace, if they kind of do a snap count, whatever they do, who knows. But for the second half of the year, as long as he's on the field, we're definitely going to see a difference defensively, man. I think we're going to be able to see that more pressure coming from Highsmith's side, Ogunjobi getting up there. Maybe we see a little bit more Cam getting up there simply just because what TJ Watt offers, man. Just what offense has got to do to game plan for a guy like that. He's just a freak of nature, dude. He's insane. I mean, there's a reason this guy almost broke the sack record last year, which, I mean, my God, like, how many people? I mean, he's got to be the first person to tie it, right? Since Strahan said it, right? Isn't he the first person to tie it?
Yeah, but he should have had it. This is what I hate. Why I hate the NFL. He should have had that sack on Lamar.
That would have been great if he would have beat that last year. But yeah, really, at the end of the day, I'm excited just to kind of see him back, and I'm excited too to see with him. And I talked about this on one of my own videos a couple weeks ago, but I'm really intrigued by seeing how much the defense is going to change with him just straight come back. Because we saw that first game, they were lights out. That was probably the best defensive game by them in quite a little bit. And okay, he's been out all year since, and we've seen how bad they are. So when he gets plugged back in and he's back in his rhythm and stuff like that, are we going to be able to see that defense kind of what we saw a little bit of week one, or maybe a little bit of what we expected them to be this year with the second half? I mean, we might, but I don't see how anybody's not excited to see him come back, man. I think that He's gonna light up second half. Absolutely.
Well, there are some Steelers fans out there that want our team to tank, and I don't know what you guys really think about
lose every
tanking.
game.
I can't stand it. I think it's an absolute weak piss
Bro,
mentality.
these guys get paid millions of dollars to compete and win, and you're a fan and you want to see your team win. I understand you want a high draft pick for once because the Steelers are never in that position, but still, at the end of the day, you want the guys on your team to play well, dude. Like what? You just want everybody to be ass, and these guys that – because here's what it is, dude. Those people that just want them to lose every game and not care and get a top 3 pick or something like that, those are the people where, okay, you want them to tank and play bad. When they do play bad, they're going to be the same people criticizing them and saying, oh, they suck, they're ass and stuff. Like, dude, no, you want them to play well because you, especially people that are part of your future and your young guy, you want them to grow, man. You want to take them to step here in the second half. So what do you want them to suck for? What do you want to be asked for?
The thing is, though, if you start developing that mindset of like losing, I think the actual Steelers are. In the last 5 years, I believe they are. I think we might have talked about, might have been last podcast, or me and Daniel talked about it. But I was like, if you start developing that mindset of like that losing culture, you start to lose now. It's 1 or 2 draft picks is not going to help you out. Point. It's coaching, it's philosophy, it's all kind of things. So I think bringing back like TJ Watt and Kazee, which he has a really good interview as well. The last few days, and bringing them back might bring a spark. And of course, having them buy and a refresh. I'm going to get so hyped for this game because it has been 11 days, but then like hopefully the Steelers don't kill me or kill us and be like, hey, by the way, all this hype, and then we play the exact same way. But TJ Watt, I think coming back is going to be fantastic. Daniel, what do you think he offers? Schematically for the opposing offense to worry about. He's versing. I believe it's going to be what's his name? Dalton. Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton.
How do they pick him up schematically, or how do they take care of him? In this scheme that hopefully the defense can run.
I mean, you just have, we're talking about Watt, right? Not Kazee.
Yeah, Watt. Yeah.
Okay, so with Watt, the only thing they're going to have to do is just kind of, put other tight ends out there, make his path to the quarterback longer by putting extra defender or offensive players out there to get in his way. Last year there was clips where they had a tight end, a tackle, and a running back all, blocking TJ Watt. And on that play, I think that's the one where it was against Seattle, and that's where he got the strip sack in overtime that led to the Boswell win victory in that game. And so, you see those things, and you see the fact that the offenses are just going to have to really direct their attention to that area of the field. That opens up a lot for Alex Highsmith, for Cam Hayward, for Larry O. And I think that when you have that type of dynamic on the outside and you're opening it up, and you're putting one-on-one, situations with those guys that I just mentioned, that's a favorable matchup. And that's going to cause and create pressure with limited amount of defenders and pass rushes. And that's just going to help out the defensive backs. And, when it comes to Kazee, I'm excited about him because that's going to, the one person that I think he takes off the field in third down in obvious passing situations is possibly Robert Spillane. I feel that Robert Spillane would be a guy that comes off the field. Kazee goes in, and I could see Kazee playing that Robert Spillane position, or Terrell Edmonds coming up into the box.
He was in the preseason anyway. He was such a good form tackle in the preseason. Actually gave a bit of heart out there, and then he ended up breaking his wrist or break whatever he broke. But I believe that too. If they were to put Terrell Edmonds and have the 3 safeties back there, it could be a whole game changer. I'm hoping to see what we were kind of promised in the offseason, right? Was that 3 safety set, some good corners, and then TJ Watt on the outside with Highsmith. In theory, it's awesome, but game day, Alvin Kamara runs at the middle for 25 yards, and you're like, oh shoot, what's going on?
Yeah.
Nathan, how do they stop a guy like Alvin? Is it Kamara? Yeah, that's the guy.
Kamara.
How does TJ Watt or Kazee stop that fella?
Well, I think you're gonna need some good play from your inside linebackers. I think Miles Jack. I don't know how serious his knee problem is. I don't know. I don't think it's that serious. He popped up on the injury report today. I don't know if you guys saw or not. Which I don't know. I don't really know how big, but I don't know. Like, do you think? Because this is kind of going along with your question here. Do you guys think they'll move Terrell Edmonds a little bit up more in certain plays and stuff like that, especially with Kazee coming back? They can kind of maybe put him back there, maybe have a guy like Terrell Edmonds be able to – because Kamara too, I mean, he catches out of the backfield a lot. and he's pretty elusive, and he's a dynamic guy out of the backfield, and them throwing on the ball and stuff like that. So, 3 safety sets, bring Edmonds up in the box. I mean, those are things that you can do. I think with Kamara, it's he's definitely got to be a focal point for them, because the offense, it kind of seems like the last 3-4 weeks for them, the offense has really run through him, and they don't have Chris Olave has had a pretty good rookie year for them, but they don't really have a really go-to guy offensively. And so Kamara is kind of that guy. So I think if you're going to need some good inside linebacker play, you're going to need, I don't know, he's really kind of shifty when he gets up the middle too and stuff like that. So that's why I think if you can get, if Miles Jack's playing, I know they like kind of Spillane a little bit more on running downs too and stuff like that. So if you can kind of maybe force Kamara to go outside maybe a little bit more, keep that inside part away that he likes to thrive in, maybe that might be something they do. But they got to be careful with him too when they as a pass catcher, man, because once he gets the ball, and that's really been his whole career. I don't know if you guys if you guys know or not. Same with the chat. I'm pretty sure Alvin Kamara has never rushed for 1,000 yards in his career, because
really?
I'm pretty sure, because
he's more of a pass catcher.
Yeah, right? He's such a big implement in their pass game. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe he has never had over 1,000 rushing yards in his career. I'm pretty sure he hasn't. So he's just a guy that you're going to have to eliminate at least one or the other, because he just their offense really runs through him. But you saw last night, if for anyone that watched the game last night, Baltimore did a pretty good job at minimalizing his yards, minimalizing his attack, and they only ended up with 13 points. And Baltimore, their pass defense is terrible, but they did a pretty good job at containing him. So I think maybe if the Steelers kind of do something like that, if they kind of maybe pick or choose their poison with him. But I think they'll have a pretty good game plan, man. Andy Dalton doesn't really scare anybody or anything like that. So I think one of those things. But we'll see if they want to move Edmonds around or something like that, because that might be an idea too, based off of whatever, like what looks Saints offense might be given.
Here's a fun fact for you. I'll give you guys one chance each to guess the record that Andy Dalton has without Googling it. What is Andy Dalton's record against the Steelers in his career without Googling? And I'll go with you first, Daniel J. What's his record?
Probably about like 2-8.
And Nathan, mate, what do you reckon his record is?
Well, let me think here. I know that he won, what was it, in 2015, he won a game. So that's 1-1. 1-3 that they didn't win one in 2014. I'm gonna give him, let's see, because he was their quarterbacks up to 2019. I'm gonna give him I'm gonna say that he's won 4 or 5 games against the Steelers.
Yeah, how many has he lost though? You gotta get both sides. He's played a long time.
Yeah. I'm gonna say let's go. Let's see, he came to the league 2011, right? 2011. I think 2011. I think
2002. I think.
Yeah, I think 2011. I think 2011. Rocket Head came in the league. Carrot Head. That's what he is. I mean, if you guys see, whenever you look at him take his helmet off, dude, if I don't think I've seen orange hair like that.
No,
but
he's the red rifle, mate. He's been around forever. He just keeps going.
I'm gonna say he's 4-9 at the top of my head.
He's both wrong. He's 3-13.
3-13. Okay, so
he
played a
with
little bit more games.
Price is Right rules. I win on that one.
Yeah. So he has a
come on down.
He really has a full season under his belt against the Steelers, really.
Yeah, and he sucked. So that's good to see. I think if I was him, I'd be scared going back to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh and be like, oh, not again. I signed with the Saints. I have to go back here. They go back to Pittsburgh, and then TJ Watt's back, and Kazee's back, and Minka. I think there's a big chance that he can throw a few picks. I don't see him doing too many.
I think that'd be great. The defense can force some turnovers and maybe set up the offense for some nice field position. But that's
kind of leading to my next my question. I'll start with you, Nathan, first. Do you think that TJ Watt and Kazee can help out the offense in the scenario? And just before I do though, one other question too. Has he even been? Are these two players been signed to the active man roster yet, or are we just hoping they're going to play, or we think they're going to play for the Saints?
They haven't been.
Yeah,
They haven't been moved up yet, but the
No.
Steelers have released 2 players from the active roster, so
Yeah.
they've made the moves already to put them in place.
Yeah. I think it can. I think it definitely can. I think the defense, the Steelers offense has played from behind a lot this year too. So I think the defense, like them being active, especially TJ, stuff like that, yeah, it can definitely help. Can get them in some good field position. Get them on the field maybe a little bit more. Maybe give them a little bit more opportunities on the field because the defense kind of getting off or making their stops and stuff like that. I think it definitely can. It just kind of depends on the situations of the game. It depends on how the offense might be even doing during the game too. Like, are they just off the field constantly? But they can. Like, we know how much of a difference maker TJ is, and him alone and everybody around him. I think him being back that's going to elevate pretty much everybody else in that defense. And I don't see why that the Steelers, with him being back, why they couldn't maybe give some more opportunity, whether it's a field position, if it's a turnover, anything like that, why they wouldn't be able to give an opportunity to the offense. But then that's the question there. What has the offense maybe kind of sat down together, been able to kind of maybe pick apart during their week off too? So that's a thing. But to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. I think that they can definitely make some more plays, and I think we're going to see it. I think we're going to see it. Like, I don't think we're going to see the defense be what we all hoped or expected it to be this year. But I think we're definitely going to be able to see from the first half of the year to the second half of the year more productivity, maybe some more playmaking, more pass rush. We're going to definitely see more of that, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. I would love to see them maybe get a couple turnovers against Andy Dalton on Sunday and try to set up the offense. Give them, hey, you're at the 50-yard line or whatever the heck you're at. That'd be awesome.
Well, that's a good point. I reckon this will be a good turning point if the Pittsburgh Steelers and TJ Watt and the Kazee and this new defense comes out and actually gives us a short field, right? Then if our offense does do nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing with the play, because you've got 11 days to prepare for this game. Andy Dalton versus Steelers. Hopefully TJ Watt comes out there, right, out of the gates, and Dante and Carlos are here. They're pumped to see him play.
Yeah. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely.
Yeah. If he comes out of the gate, raring to go, sacks Andy Dalton, fires up, fumble, this kind of stuff, gives the offense possession, you have to take advantage of that. You've got to start to win games. And then we're going to start to really see it. Right now, it is Matt Canada's fault, but he's got the best chance right now with the defense holding their own, right? TJ Watt coming back. And look, I know we're 2-6 and the Ravens are 6-3, and we're so far. Let's not even talk about playoff talks just yet, right? We're talking about winning the game. And you have to win this game now. Like, the stretch starts versus the Saints. And this is probably the best time. People did want TJ to come back the Eagles game, and we got shellacked anyway. Yeah. So this is the best time to come back.
Anyway.
Probably not, right, when you think about it. So coming back, it's going to be TJ Watt out there, and the crowd's going to be fired up,
Oh,
Daniel,
absolutely.
I'll start with you, Daniel. Do you think that the defense can hold this team under 20 points?
Oh, for sure. I don't think the Saints have the given what's coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, given the fact that TJ Watt and Kazee are active for this game, assuming that I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to probably hold this team. There's a potential of the Steelers holding this team to under 15, in my opinion. And I think that might be generous. You're looking at TJ Watt coming back, Kazee, Larry Ogunjobi. You're also looking at potentially Will Jackson playing out there as corner. These are all guys that weren't participating in the last game, guys that, in my opinion, are going to be difference makers. And so I strongly believe that when you look at the Saints offense, it's Kamara, it's Olave, and that's it, in my opinion. And so, you know who you need to stop in this game. The strengths of this team, and there's a lot of glaring weaknesses, especially on the offense. And so this team should go into this game, and this defense should give the Steelers plenty of opportunities, not just to hold the Saints down to a certain point level, but also to get turnovers and put the offense in scoring position or in better position than they did last week. The Steelers, since TJ Watt has been out, their starting position has gone down or has gone further back than what it was with him in last year, obviously.
Which was the game that they dropped the 4 interceptions? Was that the Eagles game?
No, that was the Dolphins game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that kind of scenario too versus saying take full advantage, Cameron Sutton, those guys, Terrell Edmonds, right? I'm thinking this can be what we wanted to happen at the start of the season, but to me, this is like it's a new, fresh season. I know, like we said, a lot of people do want them to tank. It's not too many. It's a small minority making a big, loud noise to say, "Oh, they stink, they suck, and let's get the draft pick." But I don't think draft pick, changed anything. But is there any more other news, guys, you want to cover this week? Because I've really been lost. I've been out of the fray for about 3 or 4 days playing pickleball on my comp and winning gold medals.
I got your medal, man. Well worth it.
I got a question for y'all. So, a lot of folks are on the fire Matt Canada during the middle of the season fence. There's been 2 teams that have fired their offensive coordinator. One of them then fired their head coach in the Indianapolis Colts and the Detroit Lions. Do you think those were smart moves, and should the Pittsburgh Steelers follow in their footsteps? Are these organizations the Steelers should, go, follow their plan?
You can't do it now, I don't think. I think we've been saying this for about 8 weeks. So you can't, in my opinion, you can't do it now. It's too far gone. Yeah. You have to let the season go and then readjust. I just want to see it get better. I've said fire him a million times. I'm sick of saying his name. It's awful. We know it sucks. The stats back it up. We suck, right? I just want to see it get better. I don't care if we go 31 next week. If we are ranked 31 in all categories, if it goes from 3.6 yards to 3.9, that's better, But it's getting worse, and his average points per game are worse than last year. It was 20 all year. Now it's 14 or something like that. And I'm saying with the defense now that we have TJ Watt and Kazee and these guys, and someone's going to rally, man. Like, this team has to rally. That's what I'm saying. We can't afford to go into a losing tank mentality, because then it's not worth it. It's not worth being. You ask the teams like our mate that me and Owen work with the Pittsburgh Steelers syndicate. Derek goes for the Lions. They've been losing forever, and they don't know what they say. Same old Lions, right? The Jags been losing forever. Jets are getting out of it right now, right? Losing mentality sucks, and you don't want to. Yeah, maybe they might lose in the playoffs, or they might even make it. But the thing is, like, the losing mentality of the Texans, these kind of teams, Washington, for example, right? The Commanders have changed different names. They're going for all this kind of crap, right? You don't want to be that. Do you want to go and win games? And if that means if you get a winning season, which would piss off a lot of people, and I can't wait if that happens, if it goes and piss all the Tomlin fans off, go and support someone else, mate. If we go 9-8, that to me is good. We had a chance, we miss it,
Here's the thing, though. If the Steelers have a winning season, right, that means that they're winning, 7 of their last 9 games?
Yep.
That's a pretty upward trajectory, especially, knowing that this season had 4 games started with one quarterback, or up to this point has 4 games started with one quarterback and 4 games started with a rookie. Do you think the Steelers fire Matt Canada if he goes 7-2 in the last 9 games?
Probably depends how well the offense is doing, but probably not. I wouldn't say so. No, probably not.
I don't think so either. I think that if the Steelers end up with a winning record, we're stuck with Canada.
You know what's funny? I want to give this one analogy I just made up in my head, but it's pretty dumb. Say you go to a party, right, and you bring, I don't know, cauliflower to a party in the first 3 hours, but you've got planned in the back end some pizzas and strippers. You know what I'm saying? You got that plan. Everyone's bagging you. You only bought cauliflower. But on the back end, you're like, well, I'm going to make this party fantastic. And I got all the beers coming. I got all the lines of fresh snow powder that you need. Not that I'm saying that I do that, right? But you got everything going on. You got the pizza coming in. And they're all saying, Mark, you suck. You only brought cauliflower. Yeah, but just to be a bit healthy at the start. Same thing in the season, man. Everyone's bagging it out. I know we all did too. We're all critical. But there's still a chance to go from 2-6 to go win 7 games. This is a bit easier schedule. I think we can win this game. And then also, I think we can beat the Bengals too at home. You win those 2, you're back on track, right? You got the Falcons in there. Carolina's in there. Carolina. They're bad.
That is a crazy trajectory, though, there, to go from cauliflower to to everything else you mentioned in that. That's 2 ends of that spectrum there, man.
There's some good Australian parties I've been to. They're like, why do you bring cauliflower, Mark? They really set the bar real low. So when I bring in the strippers, the fresh powder, and the pizza, they love it. They're like, whoa. I don't know, man. I'm just saying. I just want to. Yeah. If they were to go that well near the end, I don't think they would fire him. No, probably not. But we want that, right? We want him to keep his job. We want to do well.
Maybe. I mean, at the end of the day, though, do you think that Matt Canada could be a guy that I mean, you got to look at it at two ends of the spectrum as well. You look at, like, for instance, Marvin Lewis and what he was able to do for the Cincinnati Bengals, but he couldn't do anything in the playoffs or anything. So he was good for a certain amount of time, and playoffs was mediocre. And you knew for a fact that team and a team that was coached by him wasn't going to get to the big dance. I don't think anybody anticipates Matt Canada being a guy that can get the Steelers to the big dance. No. By keeping him on, even though there's some success, wouldn't that still be holding the team back, though? I mean, it's just kind of like both sides of the apple. But I feel that if the Steelers end up going on a winning record, I think Mike Tomlin makes the decision to keep him. I just don't necessarily think that's the right one.
Probably. There's a good question here, and I'll let you answer this, Nathan. Dante and Kyle said, do you think the fact that Matt Canada recruited Mike Tomlin's son to Maryland, bit of politics involved too, has anything to do with it? I think it does, probably. Family stuff like that always help you. It's actually, I lost my job for someone who had only been working at Flight Center for 1 month, and I was 4 months because she knew the person. She knew the guy's brother. That's why I lost mine.
No, that kind of stuff plays some different roles in all sports, high school, college, even professional stuff like that. Absolutely does. Who's to say Mike Tomlin didn't tell Matt Canada, hey man, like after last season, hey, I know that we're going to be in the transition of new quarterback here. And once they kind of got that solidified, hey, you're gonna have the season, and we're gonna kind of see what we can do, and stuff like that. Maybe that's something that he told him that he, not saying that happened, but I mean, hey, if they kind of have a relationship in that kind of way too, maybe he told him, I'm going to give you the whole year just to kind of see what this offense can do with Mitch or Kenny or whoever playing.
Also, let's not act like it's solely on Tomlin to get rid of Canada. It's the Rooneys, it's the organization. It's like it's everyone that is involved, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just on Mike Tomlin saying who we can do this, but there's also a lot of pressure on the Roonies because they have been 2-6 and they're going through new regime with Omar Khan and stuff like that. So and they are coming in the press conference saying they're all reading the playbook now. They're starting to get better, but we've been hearing that for ages and ages and ages, right? Like they need to get better. And even Matt Canada, he knows there's a bit of noise on the outside, but I guess to them, the best you can do is try and get better right now, right? And if we can round it back to the Watt and Kazee stuff, bringing them back in the fold, if that doesn't spark up the whole team to go out there and play harder and start scoring points, like giving the offense a chance, do you think Daniel J, that Kenny Pickett's going to come out in this last back nine and really start to go at it?
I mean, maybe, man. I have some serious concerns about Kenny Pickett that I need to see, and it's not going to get any easier for him as far as the weather goes and as far as the conditions in stadiums for the next couple of games. My concerns are him, throwing the ball deep and leading receivers. It seems that there's a lot of, back shoulder passes and balls coming back where receivers are coming back to the ball. I want to see a receiver get some yards after the catch, and we're not seeing that in the, so far. I think that perhaps maybe he got out of his head. I think that the Eagles game was by far his worst game as a starting quarterback this year. He missed some open guys. He made some bad decisions. There was plays where he had, for instance, George Pickens, and it was the play where he caught it, and then they hit the ball out of his hands while he was on the ground, and Tomlin didn't challenge it. Had Kenny Pickett thrown the ball and led him down the sideline there versus trying to throw it back shoulder pass, George Pickens is walking into the end zone. And so it's kind of those type of decisions that I'm concerned about. But he's a rookie. It's 4 games in. He played a gauntlet of some teams. I think this bye week was at a good time. It was a good time to get not just a physical rest, but a mental one as well. And, sometimes you need to take a step back. And when you do, things kind of click, so to speak. And so I'm not giving up on him or anything like that, but I do have some concerns about him, and I think that the only thing that's going to answer those concerns is going to be his performance and time. We're going to have to find out here in the next few weeks. He has the next 2 games at home. These games are in November. I anticipate the wind being up there and the cold being a real thing, and I anticipate that being, defenses giving up probably the deep pass and working the underneath route because that's what he seems to have. And until he proves that he could throw the ball over the top, it's going to be a very frustrating watch to see. And I don't think that's all on Matt Canada's head.
Well, here's an interesting thing too, because Andy Dalton's has, back to him to the old Red Rifle. He's played more games in Heinz Field than Kenny Pickett, right? And I believe Kenny Pickett still hasn't won a game yet. Is that correct?
He hasn't won a game that he finished. He won the Tampa Bay game that Mitch Trubisky came in and closed it off.
Let me see. I believe, yes, Andy Dalton's won one game in Pittsburgh. So 2013, he won a game. So that's intriguing, right?
That's terrible.
This veteran comes in and a young guy, Kenny. I think we all want Kenny to be great because we don't want to go. I know I don't want to go through the offseason and be like, oh, you have to get another guy. We want to try and build around him and see what can happen. But of course, this offense is piss poor and terrible. Right, and I'll put my hand up, and I'll be waking up this time now, 5 a.m. And also, guys, you hear about the news that the Bengals game got pushed back too?
What do you mean?
Yeah, the Bengals we were playing next week, the week after, 8 p.m. And I don't know when that might be the first time
they got flexed. Yeah,
that hasn't happened for a long time.
Not in that direction.
No.
We've been flexed the other way where we've been put into prime time.
No, then it's Steelers and Colts on Monday night after that one, so that might be one of the worst Monday night games you probably have.
Can they can't change Monday, can they? They can change Sunday.
Can't. Not until next year.
Oh, next it is versus the Colts too.
Yeah, next year I believe the NFL is going to be doing possible flexes on Monday nights.
Right.
I love to see them get rid of Thursday night and do a doubleheader on Monday night.
You know what though? How do you change a Monday? What if you're planning to go like if I was going overseas for a Monday night game, they'd change it. It would stuff everything up.
That would suck, man. I mean, I think that there'd only be certain games that they can, and you'd have to be notified like, hey, I know as a season ticket holder, I get notified of certain games that are possibility of being flexed, and they tell you to be prepared for that when you're buying those tickets. And so, but yeah, that would definitely stink. Like right now, I plan and anticipate on going to the last game, to the Steelers versus the Browns game.
Nice.
And I don't know what. I have no idea what day that game's going to be on. There's a possibility it's on Saturday. It's a possibility it's on Sunday. And it's not going to be determined until the week before. Week 17 is when it's going to be determined.
Aren't you giving away tickets too?
I am giving away tickets. There's two ways you can answer. Thank you for bringing that up. So I'm giving away tickets to a couple of subscribers or to a subscriber to the State of the Steelers or the Drunk Turkey Show, which is my sister show for the State of the Steelers. It has nothing to do with football. We do murder mystery type stuff, and we drink beer. We also do beer reviews and film reviews, things of that nature. And this Saturday, we'll be giving away 2 tickets to the Steelers versus Vegas Raiders game. And so go check out my channel. There's details there. You can figure it out.
All right, I got a question here too, and I'll start with you first, Nathan. He says, I love the Steelers, but what other team than the Steelers has surprised you most in the NFL, for good or bad, Nathan? Who surprised you? Because we're now 9 weeks in, 10 weeks in. Who surprised you for a good or bad reason in the NFL?
Yeah, it's a good question, Dante and Kyler. At the top of my head, I can say I want to think of both conferences here. The Jets have definitely, I think, been a surprise to a lot of people. And I will say, if you guys agree with me here, I think the Jets, the way the Jets win, I think is exactly the way Mike Tomlin wanted to win this year. Good defense, an offense that, just like 17, 20 points, but good defense. I think he wanted to win that way this year. So the Jets, they do a good job defensively. Zach Wilson's still kind of a question to me. Still don't really quite know what he is and all that stuff like that, but they win games. They win close games. So just the fact that they're pulling those out and are sitting at 6-3 is a surprise. Let's see who else we got. AFC North, not really. I think the Denver Broncos a little bit surprised too with how bad they are. I think Russell Wilson, he hasn't really been that really good the last couple of years. He's taken even more of a step back. So Denver and the fact that they came on to this year kind of building off their defense from last year, and then they unload Bradley Chubb also. So Denver, they're racking up draft picks too, trying to recoup draft picks that they lost with Russell Wilson. So they're stuck in a mess there. I think Denver, and I didn't think they were going to be that good this year either. I kind of was like, maybe 7-8 wins or so around there, but they're not. And their head coach sucks too. I don't care what anybody says. He's a bonehead. Let's see. South, no.
I think a big surprise.
You're missing one big one. Yeah, you're missing one big one.
Who's he missing? Who do you think, Mark?
Seahawks, man.
Yeah, that's where I was going too.
Yeah,
I was going
Seahawks.
Seattle.
I thought they were gone. I
well.
thought they would win 3 games this year. They've won 6.
Yeah.
Just because they have no Russell, but they've got the good foundation. They Geno Smith is playing some good football. He's letting it air.
Took him 9 years, man. Took him 9 years.
Hey, there you go.
This year is definitely like the upside down. You have teams like the Giants, the Jets, the Seahawks that are, doing some great things. And then you got teams that are in unfamiliar position. You have the Steelers that are 2-6. Of course, I had to throw that out there. Yeah. And you also have, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers looking like complete crap this year as well. And so those teams, especially the Packers, I expected maybe perhaps there be a little bit of a roll down the hill, but man, that was a cliff in my opinion.
I think another team I'll add in there is the Raiders, man. They're freaking 2-6 too, dude.
They're really bad.
Seriously, go out and trade for Devontae Adams. They had their defense wasn't bad at all last year. They don't really do a 2-lot. Claudia, what's up, man? We appreciate you tuning in. Their defense really wasn't that bad last year, and offensively this year, Devontae Adams doing his thing. Darren Waller's injured a lot. Josh Jacobs is popping off, and they're not pulling out wins. They're not. And their defense has been really bad. So is that a Josh McDaniels thing too? I don't know. But
the thing is, though, their point difference is about 15 points, where the Steelers about 70, right?
Yeah, so
we're getting towed up. But I agree that the Raiders have not been in any conversation at all. I want to ask you guys this question too that gets into my mind now. Because we didn't, we traded Claypool, we brought in the cornerback, William Jackson III. But what's the plan for maybe next year? And I'll start with you first, Nathan. What's the plan with Mason Rudolph? Like, do you have Trubisky as backup now? Like, what's the plan with Mason Rudolph if for next year?
Yeah. Well, he's a free agent, so I think it'll kind of depend on what interest he's kind of garnering. I don't think Mason Rudolph's that bad of a backup, but that's what he is. He's not a starting quarterback in the league. He's not a guy that you want to play 17 games a year for you. If he's a guy that needs to step in 1 to 3 games a year, backup, yeah, I think he can make some plays and stuff like that. I think he's fine in his role as a second string backup quarterback. That's fine. So with Mitch, I don't know. Like, I don't know what type of teams is really going to garner interest for him, especially teams are going to look at how he got benched. Really the only other thing was that nice end of the game drive that he had against Tampa Bay. That was great. Really kind of depends, like different opportunities. But if they decide to trade Mitch, let's say for a late round pick to a team that might need another quarterback or something like that, I don't care if Mason Rudolph's the backup quarterback again next year. Like if he would be the actual backup quarterback, like if they move on from Mitch and Mason's the second string, I think that's fine. I think Mason's fine as a second string quarterback. I do. He comes in, he's been here this is his 5th year now. And if he needs to come in on a pinch or something, then yeah, but he's not a guy you want playing. He's not. He's not an every week starting caliber quarterback. He's not. Now with Mitch, on the other hand, that's the other thing too. They signed him 2-year deal. Will he want out of here? Will he want out? Will he ask for a trade? Will there be something where maybe the Steelers just kind of cut him? If they're able to save cap on I haven't really looked at the contract thing in the sense like if they'd be a penalty by cutting him or if they'd save money. I don't know. So who knows? Like if he'd ask for a trade or if there's another team that maybe would want someone like Mitch that has played for 6-7 years and might need like that quarterback in there to be a bridge guy or to be a veteran guy for them. I don't know. But I don't care. If Mason's going to be their backup, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
What do you think, Daniel? Do you think, is there a chance that we bring Mason back for a short contract to be backup, or is it going to be Trubisky next year? There seems to be a lot of questions, even going through the season, with Kenny Pickett, like you're saying, you're not too sure what is going to be his role in the future, right? And even a backup, and it just seems like there's a bit of disconnect in that quarterback room. Do you think Mason's around for the future?
I think Mason Rudolph's going to be wearing black and gold next year, but for the Saints.
Yeah. He could. And the fact he's a free agent, him and his agent are obviously going to be monitoring that. You're looking at a team like the Saints. Jameis Winston's going to be a free agent. You look at, heck, even Washington. Like Washington rolling with Heineke or Carson Wentz, whatever they want to do there. Maybe in that
But the
situation,
thing is with the Saints,
he's
the
probably going to
Saints,
look at a couple options to see what opportunities there.
right? The Saints don't have a first round pick next year. They need a quarterback, so they're not going to be able to get one out of the draft. This is a high quarterback draft.
What about the Colts?
Class.
If they're able to get off of Matt Ryan in some type of way,
there's a possibility, but I think he ends up going to the Saints. I don't think he's going to stick around. The Steelers were comfortable with Mason Rudolph being the only quarterback on the roster for a large part of this offseason. I think they'd be comfortable with Kenny Pickett being the only quarterback, and until they go and get potentially a late round draft pick, or maybe bring in an Oladokin or something like that they've had in the past. Or potentially even a veteran, but I think that there's a good chance that Mason Rudolph's going to go try to find a place. He's already talking about it. He mentioned it in one of his.
I think that's the likely scenario too. I think he's going to look for a different opportunity.
What did he say?
He said that was that he didn't foresee the trade happening. This was coming up to the trade deadline, and he mentioned that he didn't foresee a trade happening, and that after the season, him and his agent are going to have to look at their options, that he wants to go to a place where he can compete.
Wow.
And so, he's already looking in that direction. He's looking probably way far away from Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't blame him the way they handled the situation and told him that he was going to be a potential, starting quarterback this year. We're going to be in competition, which was really never the case.
No,
I think Mr. Trubisky also is going to fall into that kind of line where he assumed that when he signed his contract that he was going to be given an opportunity to be the guy. I think he was blindsided by the fact that the Steelers went and got a first round quarterback, maybe not by the time that the draft came, but by the time that the Steelers were going out and doing this draft prospecting on these quarterbacks. He mentioned also in an interview that he wasn't aware that the Steelers were going to get a first round quarterback. And so he said it was what it is, and that he was going to, try to make the best of the situation that he has. And so I see that these two men think that they are men that could, bid for a starting quarterback position, and very well could be a starter somewhere else next season. I think that you're looking at potentially the Saints being a team that could be employing one of these two backup quarterbacks. But I think the Steelers go in there with a fresh number 2 next year.
Now here's a question. If Mason Rudolph goes to the Saints and pops the F off, what happens?
Man, then here's the thing.
What happens to the fan base, Steelers fan base?
Oh, man, everybody's head would explode, especially if he ended up turning into something like great or something. But, I honestly think that if Mason Rudolph started the season, George Pickens would be the lead for Rookie of the Year. I think he gives him an opportunity.
I wonder I think there needs to be a bigger discussion around the quarterback number 1 position, because it was pretty much given to Trubisky, and Mason really never got a shot. And I think this whole thing was like quarterback competition.
I think
for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. We talked about, who's going to do this, what reps and this, but it just seemed like it was always going to be Money Mitch at the time. He came in, started, and failed. They should have maybe just given Kenny the chance to go and win, but you possibly could have went out and played Mason Rudolph for 4 or 5 games to get Kenny ready and do that transition and maybe have some wins, or played Mason until teams figured him out, and then bring Kenny. I don't know. I think the whole thing was in shambles, to be honest, because we knew that there was some alter ego with a different kind of some more money-based stuff with his contract, and they gave him the chance to get that. He failed at that, and they couldn't put him in there any longer. Then Kenny Pickett came in, and now here we are. And you obviously can't play Mason Rudolph because you're playing Kenny Pickett, rookie quarterback. Therefore, Mason Rudolph sits on the bench, always just chilling, the best job in football. The third quarterback who doesn't even get dressed. You know what I'm saying? So, and of course, he wants to compete, wants to go out there and win. So he might be in the best chance right now to sit back, one, not be injured, right? Let's be honest, not be injured.
Right.
How do you get injured in practicing? And sit back, get 3 games on sidelines. You know what I'm saying? And then he's not putting out some bad tape either. Not putting out good tape, but he's not putting out bad tape. So this would be a good chance. And I do wish him luck, actually. I think he's getting a lot of heat throughout the years, but I thought he was a good backup. He played quite well in that season where Big Ben went down. They did change. He got smashed in a few occurrences. I wanted to see him in a different system. Now, I don't follow him as a fan or whatever. I don't go follow him like other people do when they follow players. But to see him strive somewhere else would be kind of cool. And I think, next year with the Kenny stuff, and hopefully Kenny has a good next 9 games, but it's going to depend who's going to be our backup and who's going to be, maybe it will be Trubisky for 1 year, and then he'll be fighting for a job again to stay in the NFL because he's going pretty long in the tooth then too. and we'll probably bring in, some quarterback. Would you think we'd see that, Nathan? Would Trubisky and then bring in a guy like Daniel said for rookie, and that's it, the 3 guys?
Like they draft a rookie in like late round pick or something?
Something like that. And then we have 3 guys on the roster. I don't know.
It's possible. It's possible. I think it's possible. Like if Mitch like says like he wants to move on, or maybe if they cut him to save money and they bring in a different veteran backup quarterback, or because they like having a few for their training camp and all that stuff like that too. So it's possible. It's definitely possible. I definitely think I think both of them. I think both of them are just going to kind of scan. Even though Mitch is not a free agent technically, I think both of them are just going to kind of scan like what opportunities still here and what else is there, and then they'll kind of see. I don't think either one you can rule out being their backup next year, but at the same time, you can't rule out either if one of them or both of them leave or anything like that.
And then if worst case scenario happens, Kenny Pickett absolutely shits the bed, and we have to go and get another guy. I don't know. You guys got any final thoughts or questions before we start to wrap up?
Well, I do. Ali brought up that he thinks that over time that Mason has gotten better, and he's not a Mason fan. Mason hasn't had a full season of starts yet either.
Mm-hmm.
He's had less than 16 games as a starter. And so, I'm not saying that he would have been the savior, he this or that, but I don't think he was ever given a fair opportunity, not by the organization or by the fan base. And, I think that, there was some flashes there and certain times, especially with the deep ball and the accuracy on the deep ball, which right now is what we're missing as a team. As a team, if the Steelers had somebody that can, throw the ball deep, that would alleviate a lot of the pressure underneath and a lot of the pressure on the running backs, and, could extend some drives and things of that nature. He just doesn't fit the criteria in which this offense wants to run. He's not that mobile quarterback. He doesn't bring that aspect of his game. He was brought in as a potential, maybe potential heir, but at the end of the day, he was brought in as a backup to Ben to run the offense that Ben was running. And this isn't Ben's offense anymore.
And I agree with you completely. I believe they misjudged this quarterback competition because they never really had it without Big Ben. We always had Big Ben, right? They definitely stuffed that up to a certain degree. Never gave him a chance. He looked pretty good in the offseason. You probably could have, to a certain degree, maybe not gone and got a guy like Trubisky and maybe just said, you know what? Mason Rudolph's going to be our backup. Like, he's going to be our guy. Go and sign Kenny Pickett and then keep Chris Oladukin or something like that. Because right now you have, to a certain degree, you have Trubisky and Mason Rudolph both being backups, right? And you're not even seeing Mason play. He's a third guy. He's not third. There's no way he's third. He's a second, or possibly could be a starter with the right team and system. So they definitely push him to the sides. You know what? We're going to start the guy we just brought in. We're going to make him captain. First of all, that's another big mistake too. I think was crazy to me. You got to make Mitch captain and all the other captains like Troy and I think was it Cameron Hayward's been one, and Big Ben. Like, you make him captain, so you write in the stats, and he's the guy flipping the coin out there and doesn't actually play the game. That's crazy to me, right?
Well, so who on the team would you have chosen to be captain instead of Trubisky at that point?
Probably not. Is Najee Harris captain?
Yeah, there's 2 of them. Najee's one, and Trubisky's the other.
But you don't have to choose everyone on the offense to be captain. Like, I know some teams have 7 captains. You know what I mean? Like, how many captains do we have now? 3 or 4?
I believe there's 5.
I feel like half the team's a captain, man.
There's 2 on offense, 2 on defense, and 1 on special teams, I believe.
In any case,
why can't we be captains?
In any case, it doesn't to me, it doesn't sit well. And Ali says the players vote the captain, and I kind of get that, right? But to me, it doesn't really sit well for a new guy coming in. Why does he, get my? That's why I think if I was Mason Rudolph, like he said in his interview, as you're saying, like, I'm going to find another option, because the way they treated him was just pretty terrible.
I don't blame
that they drafted, and a lot of fans have been on his back a few times. Yes, he's not the perfect starter out there, but he has won games. He has played in this offense, and they push him aside, and they made Trubisky the guy to be the backup role. So, if he goes out there and gets a job and plays fantastic, I'm all for it. So here we are. What's man? Fuck me, hell. You know what? YouTube, fix your shit.
Hey, I got a question.
Yeah, here come the bots. Here come the bots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta freaking love it. You gotta love it, dude.
What's going on?
Freaking believable. Speaking of kind of like, this isn't Steeler based, but speaking of kind of like Trubisky, is he going to get an opportunity? You guys think Baker Mayfield is freaking done as a starter? The fact that he came in the second half, that Carolina game, did pretty good, and they're still sticking with PJ Walker.
I don't know. I haven't really seen him play though. What do you reckon, Daniel?
I haven't seen him play out there either, but you got to look at the situation that he's in. He's in North Carolina, where they also released their head coach. That's a bit of a cluster.
Because they'll be drafting a quarterback, 100%.
Right. I think he ends up finding a different place to play.
So, yeah, so Derek and Dante and Kyler think that Baker's done and stuff like that. Because he started, and then they benched him and everything like that. So,
hey, I got a question for you. Oh, sorry, you got Daniel.
No, I was just saying, I don't think he's going to go out there and maybe attract some teams just because of the fact that he was a first number one overall pick. Yeah, the pedigree is there. Normally, I would think the Steelers would draft him just because of that, but the Steelers have an answer. I mean, the Steelers they get excited when they see a former first rounder out there. They go all in on all of them.
Yeah, pitching a 10 over it. What about Malik Willis? Did you guys watch the Titans game at all against Kansas City? I mean, not that he did like a lot of things or anything like that, but at least they can run the ball and actually kind of put him in a situation where he doesn't have to throw the ball 30 times.
Yeah. I saw the second half of that game, and I wasn't impressed. I mean, I wasn't impressed with this quarterback class, to be honest with you, coming in. I'm still not too impressed with them.
Well, I think there's a reason too, man. He was projected to – a lot of people thought the Steelers were going to take him in the first round. He fell all the way to the third round. Yeah, so Mark did. He fell all the way to the third round.
Yeah.
So there had to be something there that a lot of teams were looking at, was like, this guy's getting projected way too high. We don't view him as somebody we need to. Here's the question:
we put a lot of pressure on this new age of, we've talked about instant gratification, that number one guy, the rookie guy, is going to win now, and play him. And we'd say that, and the minute we say he stinks, we go, oh, get rid of him, get someone else. You know what I'm saying? We'll do that,
Sounds
right?
like a lot of Steeler fans online.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and the reason behind that also is because of some of the talent that has come out recently and shown that they've been able to be successful early on in their career. And a lot of that has to do with, this is not the same NFL that was here back in 2004 when Ben Roethlisberger was coming in, or in 2001 when Tom Brady was coming in. Now you have spring ball, you have flag football, you have a lot of different programs that assist in some of these players, achieving success significantly early. And so when you have players who struggle early, and perhaps even somebody like Kenny Pickett, who's already 24 years old, he's an older guy. At what point do you start, you have to wonder, is there, a bigger issue there? And if that player is the right player, because, before Kenny Pickett was drafted, there was question marks, as far as where he was going to go. And one of them was that he may be going to Carolina. Right. Mm-hmm. And Chris Sims, who is somebody that I respect as far as his analysis on quarterbacks, he had said if the Carolina Panthers take Kenny Pickett and they see him and they try to compare him, especially with the velocity of the ball and the ball popping off of his hands compared to Sam Darnold, that the Cardinals the Carolina Panthers would probably thinking that they made a bad choice here just based off of the physical ability. I find that to be pretty concerning, and based on what we've seen up to this point. But I mean, are you guys? If we know who's coming back on the defense, right? Mm-hmm. Defense is coming back. The Steelers are still in the top 5. Would you consider drafting another quarterback? I mean, you have to put some context that this defense is probably going to do fairly well, and that this offense still can't put any points. And that's the reason
I'd probably still say I'm not an O-line guy, but I think go and get whoever the best O-line dude is out there, get him. Go get him. You know what I'm saying? Go get a left tackle, someone.
If the Steelers are that bad, they have 3 picks in the top 40. You can probably get an offensive lineman in the top 40. You can probably get a center or a guard, in the second round and still be good. I would consider it if the Steelers are that bad offensively in the draft. I would consider it.
What? Man,
they want you, Mark. They want you, boy.
Go fuck yourself, YouTube. How about that? What the hell is going on?
They like the gold medals. I think somebody else had put it on there in the chat earlier that they want to see you do the Kirk Cousins
Can they not figure that? Can they not figure that out yet? Like, seriously, dude. All right, we're getting pretty long in the tooth. Anyone has any more final thoughts, and we'll wrap it up. It's been an hour-long show, and I've been at too many sex bots. Too many.
I'll say this. I'm interested on Jaylen Warren's the amount of snaps and everything he's going to play, because Mike Tomlin did kind of emphasize him and Najee Harris today, and I didn't watch what Tomlin said, didn't really care. I think it was Britsburg Owen that might have said in the chat earlier that it was a sleep fest. So really could care less, but I saw someone put out just kind of something that he said that he really emphasized two-headed running back game. And that's a great thing, man. And yeah, I will say today, I do not understand why Najee Harris is running the ball the way he is compared to what he did in college and to what he even did last year. It baffles me. It really does. I don't know if it's some type of coaching thing, if they're trying to make him do different things. I don't know if he's in his head, if he's trying to make plays that aren't there to be made. I have no clue, because if you watch him last year and if you watch him Alabama, completely different runner than what we're seeing this year, man. This guy, and I think too, stop bouncing him outside. He's not a speed guy. He doesn't have the speed to run around. Stop bouncing him outside. Run him inside. You can use Jaylen Warren in different situations too, and Jaylen Warren's deserved that. Jaylen Warren has definitely deserved more opportunity, more snaps and stuff like that. It just baffles me, dude, with Najee Harris's thing. And Claudia says Najee Harris gained too much weight. Yeah, maybe that's possible too. But it's like, dude, it's like his vision isn't there, man. He's just running completely different. Yeah, the foot injury too. The foot injury is the thing too. Absolutely it is. So I don't know. I don't know if he's not confident in his offensive line, if his foot's still bothering him. I don't know what it is, dude, but it's like his running style is completely different, man. And it's just, I don't know. It could be a variety of things. He won't tell you otherwise. He'll say he's fine, but yeah, dude, exactly. Yeah, he needs to stop running. Stop.
There's a lot of good points.
Put your head down and freaking go.
Najee's,
and I'm not giving up on him either. I'm not giving up on him. I like certain things I saw from him last year. Sure, they need to get a little bit better on that left side, especially in the offensive line, but it's not all on them. You can't. That's a cop out, dude. If you're going to blame every single thing on the line, they're not opening up holes. There's plenty of holes Najee Harris has missed. So I want him to do well, and I think a lot of Steeler fans do, but I understand why they're fed up with certain crap he's doing, man. So they need to – I don't know. I don't know what it is. I hope he has a good second half. I really do.
What about your final thoughts, Daniel J?
I think that the Steelers, this is a good time for them. You know, they've had some adversity coming into earlier part of the season. We've seen, the shit hit the fan, so to speak, when it comes to this offense. And we've seen them put in a position where, the media, the fan base, and everybody's questioning whether it's coaching, whether it's the players. And the Steelers have an opportunity to turn it around, shut out the noise, and to change the narrative on what is the 2022 season. And, the next, I know it's one game at a time, but you look at the next 4 games. Those 4 games are winnable games, and games that the Pittsburgh Steelers could, take control. And if they do it one game at a time, take care of business in the next 4 games, that puts them at 500 with 5 games to go. Anything can happen at that point. But it all starts with one win. It starts with the next one. It starts with the Saints this Sunday. And it starts with the Steelers putting up more than 20 points. And I think that they are, I like Claypool was okay, but I think that this is a situation where it's addition by subtraction. And I think that this potentially could get these receivers more in rhythm with Kenny Pickett because now he's not spreading the ball out. There's one less, mouth to feed, so to speak. And so
100%.
I think this could be a positive outlook for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just need to continue and put their head down and continue to drive in the same manner that they are. And I think we'll be all right. It's one game at a time, though.
That's what it is.
I think the Steelers pool is winning out this week.
I think so.
I'll tell you guys.
Don't give it away yet.
I'll tell you guys my score on Saturday.
Little, just a little scope into Saturday, folks.
Right.
I'll
tell my score then.
One question for the chat, and even for Mark and Daniel before we log off here. And I know Saturday we're really going to be talking about Steelers and Saints, so I kind of want to ask it now. When we look at the final 9 games, I'm not sure how many of you in the chat and you guys have kind of sat down and looked at the rest of the schedule. But these final 9 games, how many do you think the Steelers are either going to win or definitely have the opportunity to win? Like, where do you kind of maybe see them? And I know, we kind of have to wait a second half kind of starts to get going. We can kind of see guys healthy, how things are going, but at least going into this week, they're sitting at 2 wins here. You guys kind of see them like 4 wins. You guys see them maybe hitting that middle spot at 6-7. Because I think they will have a better second half of the season. But I'm interested to if you guys have a thought, or if any of you guys have thought about that.
That's my thought right there, baby. 9.
There he is. Crooked foot.
Hey, thank you. That's been sitting there for about 6 months.
7 wins.
Image. I'm saying 9. Let's go. He's got 9.
Yep. Claudia says 9-0. Derek says 7 wins. I don't think anybody else has said yet. Dante Kyler, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a good night. Britsburg Owen says final record 7-10.
So that's only 5 more wins in the next.
So 5 more wins. So they would go 5-3, 5-4, 5-4 down the stretch. Brian says 11-6. They run the table.
I think the Steelers get to 9-8. I think they might. They have a couple of games that they could drop, but I think they get to 9.
Okay.
I think they get to 9-8. But I think this game's important, guys. I think if the Steelers win this game, they can get some motivation. They can get
it can definitely be one of those things you look at like, okay, this is kind of the start. Yeah, I think I agree with Britsburg Owen. I like the 7 win mark, which gives them that's 5 wins. You kind of finish a little bit above 500. I think too why I'm saying that right now too is just because we have to wait if this offense can go into the second half and score more, right? If we can kind of see him maybe go from here, not all the way up here, but from here maybe to like here, especially because you have a favorable schedule in a lot of these games. So I think that's kind of the state. But I kind of like him around that 7 win mark, and that's not going to set him up for a bad draft position either, if that would be the case. But I'm with you guys. Like, I want him to play well. I want him to have a strong second half. I want to see Kenny grow and George Pickens get more involved, man, and these guys especially that we've invested in that are going to be here, that are plans to be here moving forward. And aside too, like obviously Minka, Cam, TJ, you want to see them ball out, but you really want to see that. And that's a big win. If you can really see that growth, if you can sit there from this week to next week and be like, oh yeah, you definitely see things clicking. You see them. That's what you want to see. You want to see that stuff. So that's what I want.
Only time will tell. And as Mr. Hammer Z says here, what is your Yin's prediction for the game next week? We will be covering that on, I think, Daniel J's Stay of the Steelers. So if you guys are still in the chat, go into the description right now. Click on Nathan in Hindsight YouTube channel. Click that sub and click that sub for Stay of the Steelers, because we'll be there next week on Saturday. Yeah. Other than that, guys, we'll check us out on Stay of the Steelers. In the description. Been fantastic. It's been a great hour. It's good to talk football again, because I was away for 4 days and I was like, what is going on? But it was actually a good break to get away from social media. I didn't really go on social media for 3 days.
I bet it did, man. I bet it felt refreshing.
I was actually having conversations with people, so that was kind of cool.
It's not autopilot mode. But shout out to the chat, each and every one of you guys, for tuning in, listening, putting your thoughts out there. That's what we want to listen to you guys also and kind of hear what you guys are saying, because we're all Steeler fans, guys. We're all on the same side, and we might not agree on every single thing, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, we want the best for the team, the organization. So second half starts Sunday, and I think a lot of people are excited to kind of see the Saints game with TJ coming back and how they kind of hopefully maybe bounce back the second half, and you see a lot better good than what we saw in the first half of the year. But each and every one of you guys are appreciated, guys. We want to see you guys tuning in all the time.
I want to see, and I'll end on this. I want to see TJ Watt tombstone pole driver Andy Dalton into the grass. I want to see that red.
I want to see the lights go off when he does that. And here's that Undertaker bong, man.
I want to see Andy Dalton's red rifle fringe turn green. I want to see him scared like ghost. I want to see him I don't care if TJ gets pulled out of the game. I want to see TJ just hit through him like Debo Harrison used to do. And TJ will. TJ doesn't like the Bengals with Joe Burrow. He doesn't like ex-Bengals either. All right, guys. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Nathan. I'll see you later, mates. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Welcome to the unofficial Steelers podcast. The podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host from In Hindsight, Nathan Heitz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go!